Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, happy holidays. We would normally have some commissioners here, but they're at a League of Cities meeting in Orlando or somewhere else. So
where their priorities.
yeah, exactly. Welcome, Kelly Brown, President of CCNA, and any new folks. Okay, we are going to try and keep things crisp and moving tonight. We have our holiday party starting at 5:30 and people start to drift in about 5:15. So excuse me if I try and move things along a little faster than normal. First thing to do is establish a quorum, and I think we have everybody here except Ken Sheelan. So with that said, we'll declare a quorum. The minutes, and this is where I have an apology. They weren't quite ready, so we'll have to have those catch up. I'm sorry, folks. This is my fault. Treasurer's report. Clark, what do you have? The bank account Seacoast has $3,002.55. Oh, plus we have a $450 credit on our credit card from the return of our security deposit from the October event. Good. And then we will have our annual renewals going out next week.
This weekend.
This weekend. So good. We made it. We eked through on better than last year. Thank you. Are Nick and Sajay here? They are not. So let's move on in the hopes that they arrive shortly. The first order of business, and I've talked to many of you, Bob, Clark, Patrick, Gannon, Bob Firth, and the idea here is I wanted to bring Patrick McNamee on as a additional vice president. Effective now, I think we know that my term, for lack of a better word, after 5 years will sunset. Some of you, maybe thankfully, you'll have fewer emails to read. But the concept here is Patrick has proven to be a great addition to our committee structure, and to bring him on as a vice president at this point, and then very, very likely with a plan to appoint him a president in March, April cycle. So as I understand, I'm learning more about Robert's rules of order and how many vice presidents we can have. And tell me how to make this happen, Peter.
Okay. I think what we need to do in looking at, I think we need to appoint Patrick McNamee as interim vice president, and then proceed in the January meeting with making it permanent, because there's a couple of things that have to be done. We have a vice president, and we only have one vice president allowed in the bylaws. All right, so we're going to have to come up with a motion to assure that the current vice president is willing to be the second vice president, and we'll create a hierarchy of vice presidents, just as other associations do. So Patrick would become the first vice president, and in our bylaws, all of the duties that go to the vice president would then go to the first vice president. And then we'd have to add a clause where the second vice president would stand in if the first vice president wasn't available. So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to have another vice president in the organization. Okay. So if we go ahead and I'll make the motion if you want. I move that we, with the approval of a vote of positive with the board of directors, we install Patrick McNamee as the interim first vice president to be acted upon in the January meeting.
Good. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, third. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We'll have to buy those police to come and look at.
And Jamie, thank you. Congratulations, Patrick. And you're going to be terrific. All right, Jamie, to you for some new associate members.
Okay, yes, we have two new silver members. One of them is, we've met him before, is Emerson. So if you want to come up here and tell us a little bit about your company. You get about a minute.
Oh, excellent. Mike, no mic, depending on the volume you need.
We need it for the
Yeah.
Zoom people.
Oh, for
Oh,
the Zoom.
yeah.
Okay, hello, Zoom people. Very festive with my lights here, but Valcourt Building Services is a national waterproofing contractor. Myself personally, I've been in this industry in this town since I moved here in 2018. Karen's Engineering, Dynamic Engineering. I worked with Valcourt and got brought over just about 6 weeks ago. So during that last 6 weeks, Jamie and I were talking about becoming part of the association as an engineer. I switched to the dark side. We're contractors, but we know many of the associations downtown. We do waterproofing, restoration, concrete, stucco. When you have a building project that you need to have taken seriously, we're here to solve problems. You connect me with your board, yourself. We work together to get that building put back the way it should be. Restoration, repair, that's what we do. So Valcourt National Company, 14 states, 100 million in Florida alone last year. We can definitely attend to your needs. And hopefully tonight I'll get to meet a few of you. So thank you for letting us join. And as the year progresses, we'll get more involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I went a little out of order. Are we supposed to let them, we're supposed to make a motion to? Yeah.
Get Brown?
And I think I put Gone Coastal Roofing and it's supposed to be Finch Roofing. Potential. Yeah, yeah. And then I believe it's Chrissy with Finch Roofing. There she is. Come on up. I put Gone Coastal, so sorry. That's my error. It's Finch.
Good evening, everyone. I am Chrissy with Finch Roofing. We do small roof repairs, full roof replacements, all of your roofing needs. Nothing you want to hear about right now because we got through the hurricane season. However, if you did just replace your roof or have any proof, we offer maintenance plans. So we are here to help maintain your roof because it is just as important, especially now putting up your Christmas decorations. But we are a veteran-owned company, been around since 2020. We have over 23 years of experience in the company. And yeah, we're here for residential for any of your needs. And pretty much when you're in a pinch, call. Oh, geez. When you're in a pinch, call Finch. And thank you for having us. Thank you for letting us join.
Thank you. So then we need to just make a motion, which can I just do that? Okay, I want to make a motion to accept both of them as silver members, new silver members. There's a lot of them. Cannon.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, folks. Next item of business are actually the review and approval of the 26 associate fees and benefits schedule. You should have received that yesterday, whenever. And Patrick, I think that is largely unchanged, is it, or completely unchanged from
I think it's changed at all.
fees and services. So just to reaffirm that the benefits for our various levels of folks is carried over with the 2 workshop commitment, as I understand. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Any discussion about this? I guess, do we need a motion to adopt this? Let somebody make a motion. So we have Peter making a motion, or hold it. Okay. Clark, make a motion to accept our benefits and fee schedule.
I make a motion that we accept the benefits.
Okay, second? Okay, and one just editorial, just one editorial remark. We have kept the the, the fee structure the same. And we do that in an inflationary period with the view to try and continue to encourage participation by as many, and hope we've been reasonably successful in getting some new memberships, associates, or condo buildings, and we want to keep at that and keep the beat up on renewals also. So just a little advertisement there. The next item is, along with sending out our invoices for renewals, we have typically sent an accomplishments list. And we circulated, I took a crack at it. Patrick did some, Gannon did some good work. We sent around something that's probably 80% right. And since then, Patrick has done some more work, but we'll circulate that around, but you get the gist of it. It follows the same format as last year. And there's some pretty good stuff on there. So I pat ourselves on the back from this. And so it's updated, and you'll see an additional communication on this. And it'll go out in the next couple of days. It's been our tradition to get it out first week in December with the renewals at the beginning of the year. Moving on, old business master plan. You folks meet what's the status of the master plan?
So Ken would have given an update in November. Our next meeting is actually Monday, next Monday, the 8th, I believe that is. So if anybody wants to come, we're at City Hall.
Fine. Yep. Next item, city manager search. They continue to make progress. I believe they're seeing paper resumes in the next week with a view in the holidays are kind of delaying things, but they are in the process. I think they want to shortlist it. I believe it's to 7, or hold it, maybe that's the master plan. Yeah. So stay tuned for where the city manager search. Yesterday, as far as I circulated to everybody a PowerPoint I used in a presentation I made to the Downtown Improvement District yesterday. And the gist of it was DSCA reaching out to DID, seeing areas where there might be cooperation, where as we, DSCA tend to represent more residential kind of interest, although we try and represent more than that. And the DID is more focused on businesses and where do some common interests align. And so I think the presentation, if you watched it or watch it on the replay, it looks good. And the idea is that DSCA may have an agenda slot quarterly on the DID agenda to stay in touch. Not much else to say at this point. Moving on, Ken is unable to be with us today. I don't think there's much new news on the Performing Arts Center. The way it was left when we had Drayton and Tanya here last month is I think the Renzo Piano folks are to be doing some additional concepts for the center with, a lower budget, a lower number of seats, and in the location south of the canal. So I think the intent is to have more of an update on that from them probably in a couple months. Jamie, on Associate Events Committee?
Not much. It seems like we just did a huge event and now it's time to turn around and plan the other one. So I think our next meeting it hasn't been locked down, but it looks like it'll probably be December 18th for the Associate and Events Committee meeting. No plans, no ideas yet, but that's what we're going to come up with.
Okay, homeless health and safety, Peter, what do you have?
Well, things on the homeless are pretty steady. We did not meet with Shelley. She didn't want to meet on Thanksgiving. We always meet on the last Thursday of the month. I told her I would, get her a Starbucks special coffee if she'd meet. But no, we didn't. But I did have a chance to speak to her, and she and her hot teams and associate offices are well aware of the fact that we have some new people in town. For the most part, every time I've sent her a picture or a concern of a person, she said, "We're on it already. This person is from, came by bus from Milwaukee. We know the person. We've got the social workers in contact." So we seem to have that pretty much still in control. This is the time of year when you'll see more people without shelter on the streets. They come down here just like the rest of us in the winter to get out of terrible climates. And after this past week up in Minneapolis and Cleveland and all those places, maybe we'll have some more. But I am always amazed how well and quick our service systems seem to jump right in, and if people need clothes or they need homes or they get into these kinds of situations, and we have some pretty good resources working on. The second thing on the health and safety, that's mostly around the activities that we designated as City Watch. And what I'm going to propose is that I've met with one or two people, several people actually, on moving the City Watch pilot from the pilot based on what we learned to a different kind of program that achieves the same thing. What I would like to do is I would like to, at this point, ask if I can have about 15 minutes on the next agenda in January to go through this. And because I've still got a couple of advisory board members to sit down with, and we'll have an advisory committee hopefully before the next meeting, even though the big holidays are coming out. But we've learned a lot from the City Watch pilot program. It is the intent was to try to have more individual reports and keeping track of data. We have a phenomenal number of safety reports, things like broken sidewalks, broken street lights, pedestrian crossings, lights not working when they're supposed to be flashing. When you push a button, the crosswalks are supposed to be flashing. They weren't in a couple areas. We've made reports, and the utilities people and the IT people have jumped right on them, and we're having about a 60% fix rate within 30 to 45 days, which I think is phenomenal. The city seems to appreciate the extra eyes on the city, and I think that's going along fine, and I'll be making a proposal in January.
Great, thank you. One thing that I heard at DID yesterday is that, as we know, the city has the new ROC real-time operations center with camera capabilities, and the Downtown Improvement District their board has authorized $500 grants to businesses that wish to tie into the police system. So they've got $10,000 so they could get theoretically 20 business participants to tie in. And I know the Lotus clothing store is one of the first to do it. And so the idea of this from a security standpoint, tying in with the police, that is going to be going on. Next, transportation, Rosemary District parking. The city is, I think most people know, at McCowan Towers, their large surface parking lot is going to become home to a 100-unit elderly Sarasota Housing Authority apartment complex. Of course, there will be parking in that building necessary for those residents and the residents who live in the current McCollin Towers. That question is it appropriate to have public parking, negotiate with the housing authority to add public parking to that apartment complex to support needs of the Rosemary? To help in making that decision, the city has commissioned a parking study, and I have seen a draft of that. The essence of it is, and this is kind of a duh, that the Rosemary needs more parking. And if I understand correctly, they are looking at
Volatile personal situation. Instead of supporting her,
Better.
by bringing an outside bill.
Whoever's online, could you please mute?
You may have been looking at this company. It's nothing to do with you. Number two, we brought in a PR company because we wanted to company that you're part of. We brought in a PR company. That be the royal we, because I'm pretty sure that
I got
oh, we good?
Brett, yeah.
Okay. Identified, the target looks to be 180 spots. So of public parking. So under discussion, as I understand it now, are meetings with the city about money and the details of how at $40,000 to $50,000 per parking spots these days, of how does that, where do you find the money? What is that an appropriate use
You say spot per parking lot.
per parking spot? Yep. So, I mean, 30, 40, 50, I mean, it's a serious money. Yeah. So, this is in the discussion stages with the city. Some of us feel this is kind of, the land is free there. It's in an area that could support both the Rosemary District and overflow from the Bay Park. So, sure.
As you all know, Golden Gate Point has 4 different construction projects going on. And the lessons, of course, we have learned is that in order to get a building permit, the developer contractor has to promise off-site parking for workers. So all of those construction projects going on in Rosemary, the people who are working on those projects are not supposed to be parking nearby, taking up public spaces. The problem is that they don't enforce it. And the idea that the parking department, therefore, should be the entity dealing with that issue with workers supposedly parking in public spaces where they're not supposed to. Unfortunately, they will tell you, as they have told us, too bad, public spaces are first come, first served. So in other words, they don't back up the requirement of the building department to have workers park off-site. So if you're looking for one part of the city hall to back up the other, they're very siloed, if I could put it that way. So it's been a constant issue where we are, and people complain all the time. The only thing you could do is go through a process where you can put up temporarily, say for 18 months while a construction project is going on, 3-hour parking limit signs. In order to do that, you have to get 60% of the people in that designated neighborhood to sign a petition to put in 3-hour parking limit signs to cover public parking lots. You can go and talk to Nick Patel about it, how it works. But that is,
There he is.
so he'll tell you about that.
Timing.
But there are strategies you can use to try to free up more parking spaces. namely by getting the construction workers to go to where they're supposed to park, where their contractors pay to have them park offsite. So end of my speech.
Okay, so on the Rosemary parking, so stay tuned. The parking study, I believe, is available, so the data is there. The Rosemary Association has expressed support for this public parking, and it's to some extent about money and control, for lack of a better word, or interrelationship between the housing authority and the city.
Was the study done during season? or
My understanding is that they
During the summer, it doesn't.
Yeah,
a good
they
representation.
apparently adjust for seasonality and would do a top up once we get to season. But that's why this is a preliminary, but the preliminary is showing a need for at least 160, potentially more. So the housing authority is on a timeline here for their contracts and stuff. So there's kind of a gun to the head here to move ahead with something or pass.
Are there any zoning issues as far as height and such? 'Cause
No,
obviously-
not particularly. No. Okay, moving on. Let's do this. Nick and Sajay, we would like to welcome you. And Sajay, your first introduction. What I'm going to suggest is, Nick, might you start off? You're a known quantity to the group. Introduce Sajay and then have him speak briefly. And then I did send you what we're suggesting is a kind of a conversation kind of thing on the 3 or 4 items I sent you. So would you, Nick Patel, who has been promoted to Director of Public Works, is it?
That's correct.
Okay, congratulations, a few months ago.
Thank you.
Sajay has recently joined the city and we welcome him. So why don't you,
Sure.
if you'd like to stand, and we've got our Zoom camera up here and, duh. Okay.
I can say,
Okay, all right. Okay, Nick, take it away.
yes, so again, sorry for being extremely late. I guess we missed the memo. There was a couple of emails you sent out about 5:30 at 4, so sorry about that, first of all. And, I've been in the city since 2021, and since that point, there's a lot of things that the city has grown and evolved, and I've also got a chance to kind of, the EDCM was one of the things that was a big task originally that to kind of pass that. So, I was honored to get this position now. I think I've been in this position for 6 months. And so a little bit about Saji, right, is that him and I have known each other through the industry for a long time, right? Even when I was at DOT, I knew of Saji. We worked in the same building and that aspect of it. So, we've known each other. We've had a good relationship. We've seen each other at Engineering Society. So when this opportunity came up, and he was with City of Holmes Beach as the Public Works Director there. And he's also, previous to that, he's worked at a private consultant firm. He's also been at Manatee County for quite some time. He's also been at Sarasota County as well. So he's got over 30 years experience, that brings to the table. So happy to have him on board, and welcome, Saji. And if you want to say a few things, that'd be great.
So yeah, again, apologies for running late. Didn't read the email very good. So appreciate you all having us. But yeah, my name's Saji Kamiya. The one thing that I kind of have been telling folks is first name is spelled like sage because my parents were fun hippies and thought that would be fun to be able to spell it one way and pronounce it a different way. So if you see sage, it's actually pronounced Saji just for fun. I don't have a good reason. So thank you again for having us here. And so I have right at 30 years of experience in the engineering profession. I've done some stuff on the public side, some things on the private side. So I've seen some things done well and some things not done so well. And so hopefully I can kind of bring that to the table and help to do things the right way. And yeah, I've known Nick for, gosh, it's probably been over 10 years now, when we were working together when we were in the county building at the time, Manatee County building at the time. And so just the opportunity came up, and he enticed me with getting to come to these awesome meetings and said, you got to come join us. So I said, sure. But yeah, happy to be here and happy to be a part, and looking forward to getting to know everybody a little bit better. And of those 30 years, I've been in the area. So I grew up in South Florida. Don't hold that against me, but have been in the Sarasota Manatee area since '96. And so in a way, I feel like coming to the city of Sarasota is a little bit like coming home. My first job right out of school was with Sarasota County, working on stormwater things of all else. Glad to be with the city and looking forward to getting to know everybody. And so I guess we'll talk about projects later, but you want to keep that on? Okay, you want me to start some of them? Yeah.
We're going to go over some of the things that impact downtown area, and I'm going to have you kind of cover some of those things, and then we'll get into those conversations.
Of course.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, just a couple of updates. So the 41 and Boulevard of the Arts is one that, we've been coordinating with FDOT to implement some safety improvements. We know that that's an area that's important to a lot of people. One of the concerns is often with FDOT, and we love those guys because they have some awesome standards and some awesome rules that we can use and apply. But sometimes they focus a little bit too much on the numbers. And so because of some of those things, that intersection itself, ranked a little bit low. It was number 879 out of 2,000 as far as fatal and serious injuries. So, it's one thing to see actual numbers and fatalities. It's another thing for the near misses that don't get counted very well. And so we knew that was a concern and that was an issue. And by we, I'm mostly saying Nick, because he gave me some of these notes. So Nick, coordinate a lot with FDOT and gave them some things to kind of work on and think about. And so those things that they have implemented include things like extending the lead pedestrian interval up to 5 seconds in some cases, adjusting the interval to provide more pedestrian phases on both sides of 41 when it's activated. Replacing the brick crosswalks with high emphasis striping, installing accessible PED signals on all the approaches, activating no turn on red and yield to pedestrian signs, signal timing adjustments and things like that. And so we will continue to look at those things going forward. So those are things that we want to continue to address with them. So not done, but those are some things that we thought were important, and FDOT did agree to those as well. Boulevard of the Arts undergrounding. We're working with FP&L to underground power lines. The limits from that is Florida Avenue to Orange Avenue, and it's currently in design by FPL. And so we've been working with them to make that right, and including, I think David sent us some of the pictures for some of the leaning poles and stuff. And so we were able to work with FPL on straightening up some of those things too. 10th Street and Boulevard of the Arts corridor improvements. So $12 million federal grant has been awarded. 10th Street complete streets improvements includes things like lane repurposing, wider sidewalks, protected bike lanes, some landscaping, ADA improvements, roundabout at Orange Avenue on 10th Street. On Boulevard of the Arts, intersection improvements too, parking improvements, wider sidewalks, landscaping, and ADA improvements. And then specifically 10th Street and Boulevard of the Arts for the corridor improvements too. The Federal Highway Administration, working with them to review some of their environmental and design documents that's required, working on a scope, and then an agreement to use some of their funding for moving those projects forward. So just a couple of highlights on those.
So there's a roundabout plan. Orange, is that what I hear?
That's correct. Yes.
When is that?
Huh?
When is that?
That's all part of this whole piece between Boulevard to Arts and 10th. So right now, there's multiple things going on. It's not just the grant agreement with FHWA, but it's also working with the Metropolitan Planning Organization, because we're providing $3 million match, and has to, the way it works is that once the agreement gets executed, then the money flows through FDOT, and then FDOT would reimburse us for those funding. So we're looking at, by the time we get everything worked out, it's going to be last quarter of 2026. I know that's a long time, but that's how slow government, federal government sometimes works. And, there's multiple agencies involved with this, but to kind of give you an outline, once the agreements get in place, we are going to bring it back to the community to kind of tell what is going to happen, as far as finalized, because with the $12 million when we applied for the grant compared to what we can get for it today, the costs have gone up, but we're going to focus on critical items like multimodal opportunities, shade trees. We're also looking at wider sidewalks so you can activate if there's going to be businesses there to get sidewalk cafes and those kind of things associated with it. So there's a lot of things that we want to kind of accomplish and also make it more pedestrian and bicycle friendly, as well as, making sure vehicles can go through there safely. So those are some of the things that are part of this grant agreement. And the other thing is that the intersection of US 41 and Boulevards of Arts is not part of the grant, just because the cost escalated so much. And, today I actually had lunch with the district secretary, the new secretary that's, we kind of had some of these discussions tied to it. And, back in the day, we did ask them to contribute $1 million, which would in turn give them $3 additional million. We could have done the improvements in the intersection. At that time, they couldn't commit to it, so we didn't include the intersection as part of that. So, but I did emphasize to him today about specifically the activation going on specifically at the Bay, and the Quay Act, the Quay built out is happening. And I also explained to him that in Rosemary District, there's a lot of development happening at that location. So there's going to be a lot more pedestrians crossing US 41 as part of that. And, I again pleaded to him to see if we can look at it to see what other enhancements on top of this that they could help, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to continue pushing the MPO to prioritize this intersection, as well as continue to express to DOT that, as more activation and this built out happens, there's going to be more concerns coming their way as far as pedestrians safely crossing at that location. So he did agree to continually to look at it. And actually, we had lunch at the Embassy Suites right here. So I was able to show him from the aerial standpoint about the activations going on at the Boulevards of Arts. So, he got some good insights into that, understanding that, yes, the intersection is not the highest fatality, but it could be. And we need to do something now, as as slow as DOT works sometimes, is like we need to start working on this now to ensure that by the time all this is out on bicyclists and pedestrians, that there's some sort of improvement that they're considering to do at that location. So with that, I want to open up for any dialogue.
Yeah, let me just kick it off on that point. You make good points. I mean, we've got 450 dwelling units being built in the Rosemary today, another 450 coming at the on the other side of 41, we've got 300, or pick a number, 400, but a lot that's going on, plus the Bay is an attraction. I sent you, we had some drone work done of the intersection, just if that's of any aid, and picture being worth 1,000 words. The Voco Hotel has changed hands. I don't know what your design options might be, but who knows what could be discussable as far as an acquisition of, if you needed a little bit of property. Any thoughts on that? I mean,
yeah. So one thing is that we can't force anybody to give up property, right? That's not something the city does. But what we are going to do is advocate we've done that in other areas where, if there's a new development going to come on, that we can advocate for. We still have the renderings and the pieces and how the roundabout needs to be and the size of it and all that aspect of it. So, as if it does come through the DRC process and that aspect of it, certainly we're gonna do what we can to ask and say this is what the vision is for the community, to put a roundabout in there, and we can certainly go about it that way. I mean, I don't think, as development happens, we're also looking, and this is not just at this location. I mean, I know this is outside the DSCA area, but it's also dealing with MLK and Myrtle. There's roundabouts at those locations as well. Because as people enter into the city, we want them to slow down throughout the city. And, the issue right now with DOT is that right-of-way acquisition's been very costly. So some of those projects and those roundabouts at those locations have kind of stalled. But what we are doing as a city is we're protecting those envelopes where we can put a roundabout in there so that, once we do have the funding and the resources, that we can move those projects along. So again, I can't say whether that's going to happen or not, but I think we're going to try, I think because we know what the vision is for the community. And if we can get the right of way to build a roundabout, we'd be open to that,
Okay. Other board members, questions to build on?
Hi, guys. Thanks for coming. Regarding the intersection, thank you for the progress. I think it's going to help a lot. I don't know if it's sufficient, but it's definitely going to help. Our concierge at the Boulevard mentioned to me a few weeks ago that there was a camera that she was monitoring on the web of that intersection. And that makes me ask a broader question, which is, why can't there be a camera at that intersection? Or what is FDOT's point of view on where they put cameras and who has access to that information? And do they use that information to sort of decide if this is a risky versus waiting till somebody dies?
Okay, so let me address the camera that this person may be alluding to. Again, I don't know where they get this information, but this at US 41 at Gulfstream.
Mhm.
It's on a private property. It's on one of the condos, and they're live streaming that camera, so meaning we, the city and the county, doesn't have jurisdiction on putting cameras in the right of way because we, there's some pretty stringent rules in the Florida statutes to do that. Now, SPD does have some exemption, but that's not for tracking and
But what about
cars that are on the intersection. I think Saji can explain that.
So the state has either allowed or purchased cameras. It could have been with joint projects with the county potentially, but there is a website that does have cameras for traffic purposes only that shows that. So it's possible that it's one of those maybe, but I wouldn't think you were going to be seeing that at a roundabout because it's meant specifically for traffic. And so when the state either allows or purchases, it's with gas tax funds, and gas tax funds has to be for transportation purposes. And so those cameras would be focused on that. But I'm pretty sure you can get to it through the city's website, but then there is also a state website as well where you can access cameras throughout the city and you can look at them, but it's focused on traffic, right?
Understood.
And they don't record, and it's not, not historical from that perspective, but you can watch it live and see current live conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Now, Patrick?
Yes, quickly, again, I don't know how much you know about the organization DSCA within our 25 years history of the city, having advocated along many different areas, transportation being one of them. We've been really strong advocates for all the roundabouts, anxious to see them come in, big part of education, strong on the green space too, green space policies for the city, advocated through the groups here. So we understand the issues of conflict when you're trying to implement policies across range. And you mentioned the EDCM, and it has in its advocacy for wider sidewalks. However, what we find is in the downtown zone districts, the 3 downtown zone districts, it's now advocating to go from 5 feet to 10 feet, whereas it's now minimum 6 feet, but the preferred width is 10 feet. And in the process, we're finding, like in the 10th and Boulevard of the Arts projects, that means removing mature trees. And also the question is, from an environmental standpoint, you are currently only heating up 5 feet of sidewalk width, and now you're going to be having the sun heat 10 feet of sidewalk width with less trees. So what is your particular viewpoint as to how you balance the sustainability aspects with creating more walkability and making it safe in summertime for people to walk in the Southwest Florida heat?
So let me take a first. There's a couple of competing things going on, specifically in the downtown area, specifically with the streets, the way they're laid out. There's so much right of way, right? I mean, that's the challenge, right? And to increase multimodal opportunities, I think that's where the challenge is, 6 foot versus 10 foot. And especially when we got a real activated, I just talked about activation and the developments going on between the two areas, but also know that sustainability with the heat maps and being able to balance out the trees and those aspects of it is as important, because it's all about the environment and the way you walk through the environment, about walking on a sidewalk while having shade trees and, having that sustainability aspect of it. We are doing what we can to try to balance those needs. And I think the challenge is, like, certain areas, there's give and take because there's so much right of way. You have to be able to move all type of freight vehicles, have bicyclists as well. And now there's scooters on the right of way. And then you also have pedestrians, right? And then also at the same time, we're trying to accommodate trees and sustainability aspect of it. So that's something we're going to continue to look at. We understand sustainability is a critical part of the city's strategic vision, so we want to get there. We are going through different revisioning of complete streets and that aspect of it. We're going to be looking really hard on how can we bounce those ideas. Saji, do you want to add anything else?
Maybe a couple thoughts. I'm going to play the new guy card as long as I can. So, without knowing all of the details, I'll give you a 30,000 foot level thought process without going through the specifics of it. But generally, the way I kind of look at it, and I think this is supported from our attorneys and past ways we've looked at, our code versus our EDCM, so our engineering details. Typically the code or the requirements often are the what is the thing, and then the engineering design details are the how. And so you mentioned the 10 foot, and I think it's worded preference, right? So all things the same, no conflicts. A 10-foot wide sidewalk is nice because you can walk it, you can use it, you can improve pedestrian safety aspects and those kind of things. But it's also preferred, so knowing that there are going to be constraints, and one of them could be mature trees. One of them could be other safety components. As Nick was referring to, right away is not an issue. Great. Let's try and see how much walkable space we can create. If it is an issue, then now how do we make those things fit? And not just to quote or brown nose the boss, but balance is important, right? So how do you balance the safety components with the other things? The vulnerable users we were just talking about with pedestrians and cyclists, that's an important balance. And so how do you balance those things? And so trying to write in the code that gives you those options, and that's why it's a preferred and then a minimum. The other piece of that is you maybe have heard context, so what does a area of detail look like? What's engineering detail look like based off of what the environment is? So, is it a downtown Main Street, or is it just a downtown street? Is it a major roadway, or is it a local roadway? And those all would have a different look to their cross sections, or could. And so a lot of times there needs to be a differentiation between, and I'm going to say it wrong, you mentioned them, the downtown corridor versus the DTE, DTC, see, I'm playing the new guy card, whatever those are, right? So kind of more of a zoning for the what, and then we have to apply the how from the engineering details. So I'm going to say real easy without looking at all the details, right? Like there's got to be a way to manage both of those. It's not a one size fits all. And as you mentioned, green's important, shade's important, safety is important, but we still like our cars. So we got to figure out how those fit too. And so the idea is to balance all those pieces. How's that for a
And let me just
non-answer?
embroider on, the punchline is, we like trees, and I know firsthand experience, if there's an amenity planting strip, it needs to be 6 or 7 feet to get a canopy tree in there, or the arborists are worried about costing a fortune for root barriers and whatever. And if something has to give and it's a little bit of sidewalk width, we'll take that trade-off. And what makes us nervous sometimes, I know, and this is, somebody in staff has talked about canopy trees where feasible, that word, where feasible. So the question is, if we're forced to the wider sidewalk, the canopy tree becomes not feasible. And we would like to be involved in that dialogue, and please I know, Nick, we actually kid about this. You guys get the memo. We like canopy trees. We like shade. We're losing, I think I looked and worked some years ago. I think we've lost 1,000 trees in the Rosemary alone in the last 7 years. So this is brutal. There's no nice way to put it. And sometimes when trees get replanted, they're in courtyards only open to the residents, or they're palms. So please, we request, we do everything to make the case. And if they're canopy trees, let's make them 3 or 4 or 5 inches, 6 inches in diameter versus twigs. So that's this, in simple terms, we want canopy trees, please. Okay.
Is there a way of using porous materials for the sidewalk material, so that could help canopy trees without affecting and still get sidewalk out of the mix? Because it's one thing. If you have like as on Main Street, you walk down Main Street and obviously there's a tree in the middle of the sidewalk, and then another 50 feet down, there's another tree in the middle of the sidewalk. But in the meantime, you have 40 feet of sidewalk in between those 2 trees, which gives you the benefit of having the wider thing. And if there was more porous materials versus good old American concrete, that would allow more flow through, would do a couple things. Obviously, it would help the drainage, but it also would help support the trees.
Yeah, and that's a good feedback. We've been looking at the high corridor area specifically. So just a couple of weeks ago, Pat and I walked all the way up and down Main Street, and there's a couple of trip and fall hazards, right? And the reason is because some of the trees are trying to expand and the roots are coming out, and it's buckling some of the situations out there. So, I actually talked to Saji about this. Is like, hey, we need to look at materials that can be flexible, but yet can be porous as well. So we're looking at a couple options where trees can still survive, but yet, we're not having those kind of defects. Now, obviously with all things like those, different materials can definitely cost a lot. There's cost benefit and safety and other aspects of it. So, especially as we're redoing some complete streets and that aspect of it, we're certainly looking at that. And we're also looking at from sustainability standpoint, because that has been a key theme that we've been talking about lately, and storms and low impact designs, with trees. Those are actually good for the urban context, because they actually take on some of the water and that aspect of it. So we're definitely looking at that, and that's going to be, it's also going to be important discussion as part of the downtown master plan as well.
Any final questions, because we're running on an abbreviated schedule there, but I just want to say, Nick, how much we appreciate what staff does and how this isn't easy. And Sergey, the memo again, another memo, is we would like to work with you and we would like to work with city staff. I think we've had an excellent working relationship with Nick and had some frank discussions at times, but let's keep that up because I think we end up with a better result. And talking early and involving in the process benefits everybody and makes your life simpler, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, and I also want to say one thing is that you guys have been great to work with. You know, it's never been contentious in the sense of like, you know, it's never been when passion comes together, right? It's a good thing because at the end of the day, we understand where you guys stand, and we know that that's important to the community, and that's something that we're gonna work on. And I got to tell you that David's been a good advocate as well as Patrick and some of the folks that we've worked with as well as you. You know, I mean, it's really that's what makes a city a great place is y'all talking and having that conversation with us and sharing your feedback. I think that's important because if y'all didn't do that for US 41 and Boulevards of Arts, things wouldn't be changing. You know, things wouldn't be adaptive. And I think DOT and everything. So, guys, only here to listen and make the city the best it can be. We may see it differently, but you know, we definitely want to make this the best it can be for everybody. So thank you for that.
Great. All right, thanks so much. Now what we're gonna continue with our board meeting. We sure hope you can stay for our holiday party. If you guys want to stick around or go out in your car and text or whatever you want to do, but we sure appreciate you coming here and look forward to you staying if at all possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next is, and Peter Blanton, how in heaven's name do we try and summarize what's happening in special events and sound ordinances? Can you, first of all, Peter has been phenomenal and he's going on 100 hours, I think, in research and getting compliments from Bob Fournier, by the way, for his input and observations and stuff like that. So Peter, can you help just ever so briefly on special events where that can's kicked down the road a little bit on that, but then talk to us about the sound ordinance because it's somewhat confusing, but there is some good news. So talk us through this, please, in 5 minutes, please.
Okay, I hope you can hear me. I have some latency on my side, so apologies. So on the sound ordinance, which is less complicated, we met, we had a working group of downtown residents. We sent a lot of email traffic. We did a lot of studies of how sound is, excessive sound is treated in other cities and towns in Florida. The good news is we've had a second first reading, but most of the issues have been tied down. So what we have is we have a plainly audible standard for evening hours. And that means somebody stands 100 feet away. And if a reasonable person with reasonable hearing can hear the noise through line of sight. Now that noise has to be somewhat machine generated as the language. So the easiest is to think amplified sound, but it's machine generated. Because we're adopting the city of Miami Beach rules, essentially. The evening hours start at 11, except weekends where it's midnight. It was originally proposed to be 150 feet is when you start determining whether it was plainly audible, but it's 100 feet. The other important thing is the city will bring in sound engineers because we have decibel levels during the day and evening that are quite high versus our peer communities. And Bob Fournier recognizes that. It's not a debatable point, but he believes legally you need to have objective, fact-based evidence to lower the maximum decibel levels from where they are now. So that will be done. And that is very good news. And on a more minor note, but we did get it, the late hours for plainly inaudible and decibel readings applied to the evening before federal holidays. And we pointed out that a lot of that just doesn't make sense. I mean, there are a lot of federal holidays. Next year, there'll be 15. They don't lend themselves the evening before to loud noise, excessive sound. So Columbus Day, Veterans Day, MLK Day. And then if you look at 4th of July, well, that falls on a Saturday next year. So the federal holiday is Friday, July 3rd. Therefore, the rules as originally written would allow excessive noise up to midnight on that night, which just didn't seem reasonable. Anyway, we got rid of federal holidays. So you can only have louder noise on weekends. Are there any questions on that? Oh, okay. You can hear me, right?
Yep, perfectly. Yes.
Okay. So that was pretty straightforward. Then you come to the special events. So David and I, with John Harshman, also Select Omar, we met with 4 of the 5 city commissioners. And we had a number of concerns about the frequency, how sound was measured, why there is no bass sound limit during special events, etc. And there was a continued first reading. No, I'm sorry. There was the first reading a couple weeks ago. And by and large, at least 3 of the 5 city commissioners heard us. And the special events department was directed to go back and come up with different solutions to the problems that were identified. And so they will come back with a first meeting, if you will, on that. So we are hopeful that we'll get it even better. One thing that interim city manager did do, David Bullock, is that he will administratively change the loudest decibel readings for special events. It is 85 dBA, which is like middle range frequencies, and DBC will be, which is bass sound. So we're adding bass for the first time, and that will be 90. It's currently 100 dBA with no regulation of bass. So that's a big improvement. And it's to be continued, but I think we made ground. The special events ordinance as proposed wasn't very good. And 3 of the 5 commissioners agreed.
So,
Sarah
Peter, if
Bayer.
I can,
Yeah,
so
go
if
on.
I hate, you put in so much work, but we're just, we've got a time factor here. I think again, thank you again, Peter, for what you have done. This is not going to be perfect. It's a heck of a lot of sausage making, but I think there will be significant progress on this. Whether it's going to satisfy everybody, I guarantee you it won't. But it is going to be much better, and we're going to have another bite out of the apple as these ordinances get redrafted. We'll have a week or 10 days to, get the board's further involvement on something that could be acted on. Final comment is engine revving. One of the provisions in the sound ordinance prohibits or limits engine revving as something that could be cited. And enforcement of that will be key, but it will give SBD and others another tool to potentially use on something that's really problematic to people in this building and everybody, a wider array of downtown. Peter, you have anything else? Because like to move
No,
on.
I
at
mean,
this point?
yes, they referred to examples of excessive noise and car revving was one of them, which is good.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so stay tuned. Any particular questions? It is pretty complicated, I'll tell you that. Okay, ever so briefly, Saravella condo update. We have heard something that is potentially concerning. As you know, I and others worked with Patrick, worked with the developer there on the alley vacation, but wider setbacks. We have just learned through some of their promotional materials, they're going to allow short-term rentals for as short as 3 days. And that is something we've talked about, how much of a stink we might raise about this. Is it permissible? We don't know the details. Patrick, I don't know.
I don't have any further comments. It's not going to be the entire building. It's going to be a section of the building. You'll have the affordable section, then you'll have the rental section, you'll have the main condos. I don't know who wants to spend $2 million in a condo with all this transient folks in their building. So I don't know why he's making that decision. I don't see how we can stop.
This just became known, so we're going to be looking into this. I feel, frankly, a little bit embarrassed because I think a group of us were advocating or kind of supporting the project because of a compromise, and then this is kind of pulled a fast one that I feel complicit in it, but we certainly didn't know. So stay tuned for additional information. It is concerning. It's 282 apartment condos. So
What's the name of that?
Saravella.
There is a billboard on their property.
Yeah.
Both ends now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Listen, here's I want to move quickly on the Bay Park. Bob, there's not much news there, so let's skip that if we may. On CCNA, there's a meeting or abbreviated meeting Saturday. I have nothing there. Rosemary, nothing particular. Platinum News, do we have some? Okay.
All right, so I think I'm gonna go backwards in alphabetical order. So I think I saw Annika back there with TWI. You want to come on up? We'll start with our platinum members.
Hey everyone, I'm Annika Mantius. Oh, I'm with TWI Reconstruction. We're a general contractor and we focus on exterior restoration, stucco, concrete, waterproofing. I still don't know what I'm looking for. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we're based in St. Pete, but we focus to Sarasota all the way to Tampa. Yeah, we've been around for 30 years and we're happy to help and be part of this group. So thank you.
Next one would be Leanne with Lough Roofing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Liaison roofing company. We've been in business since 1943. We do everything from small leaks to full roof replacement to new construction. We only do Florida, so we're here to help you with any of your budgeting needs or maintenance needs. So please contact the meeting.
All right, next would be Adrian with Hotwire. You bet.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Delighted to be here and enjoy the Christmas celebration. Thank you for having us. I'm Adrian, Hotwire Communications. We provide fiber into your building and make that investment in your properties. So your experience and connectivity with internet, media, television is all enhanced, and I look forward to having a conversation with each of the board members that are here. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Adrian. Amy with Berg Simpson.
Hey everybody, my name is Amy Neary. I am with Berg Simpson. We are a construction defect attorney. We help communities across Florida with defects. So, you know, as we know, we're building a lot around here, so we're seeing a lot of defects. We're very busy. We do cover the whole state of Florida. You might know Deanna Sada. She is our lead attorney. She does a lot of courses and teaches a lot. So happy to be here and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Tony, what's going on with Bird Cave? I'm sure a lot of changes.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Jamie. My name is Tony Britt. I'm the Commodore of the Berkey Yacht Club. We are still have ripped it down. We're still building it for the next year or so. You may have seen some press in the Observer recently. We had a terrific groundbreaking program, which was wonderful, and we're just moving ahead. Lots of moving parts, and hopefully a year from now, I'll be able to stand here and announce that it's open for business. So, thank you.
Fingers crossed. Kyle, RTI.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all again. I'm Kyle Goda with RTI Insurance. We're an independently owned agency right here in Sarasota. Work exclusively with condo and HOA associations, and I'm just happy to be a part of this association, and happy holidays.
Thanks, Kyle. And Becca, I think you're back there. General Elevator Solutions.
Hi, happy holidays, everyone. I'm Becca with General Elevator. We're a locally owned and operated elevator company. So if you have elevators, we know you have issues, and we love to partner with you.
Thanks, Becca. Did I forget? Am I not seeing any of my members? We got everybody. Okay, I think so. No one's. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. Any comments from any member reps? Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sue Lair with WC House. Ken was double booked and is at Selby's tonight. Sends his holiday wishes to everyone. And I was just going to ask, every year we have new people in the building. We also have some curmudgeons that don't want to pay our membership. So what you talked about in terms of the accomplishments, if that could be sent via email so we can distribute that to everybody, we'll be back next year.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thanks so much. Now I would like, Roger, would you come on over here? Like Dr. Barry, sometimes known as Dr. Roundabout. And we have some recognition for you. And as I do this, yeah. As I have a plaque for you, but I would like to read something along the way. This evening we gather with purpose and cheer to place in his hands a plaque held dear. From friends, neighbors, and the DSCA Board, a symbol of thanks, a well-earned reward. He spent his life teaching others to see how cities work and how they might be, a professor with insights, steady and wise, helping students think, plan, and rise. From Cincinnati, Ohio, kid strong, carrying the values that served him good long. When the DSCA board, his impact ran deep in choices we made and commitments we keep. Calm in discussion, patient and fair, a voice we relied on to steady the air. He and Phyllis together gave heart and time to some come, improving things line by line. The partnership steady throughout and through their shared contributions by all of us true. And now that chapter has come to a close. They travel the world wherever life goes. Spain last month, and more trips in sight. Their passports gain stamps like stars in the night. And when he's not flying from city gym, you might wonder who can keep up with him. But when he's in town, it's easy, all right. You know where to find him on Friday night. The beer group gathers as part of the cheer, Stella in hand with stories each year. He didn't retire, he simply moved outside the DSCA line where rules must abide. We missed him the moment to honor him then, the moment he earned again and again. For all his services inside his care, we should have said it sooner, how much he gave him. For that we are sorry and speak it outright, but gathered together to set it right tonight. And maybe it's fitting in this festive season's glow to offer our thanks in a holiday spirit we show. His judgment is calm, the balance he brought in, all left their mark again and again. So with applause, we express what words cannot say, our gratitude rising in warm, full way, for service, for teamwork, for all he's done, for steady dedication, second to none. May their road ahead stay open and free, full of health and sweet memory. And whatever they travel, far or near, may they always find comfort in a cold Stella Vera. So, on behalf of the board, we're late. My apologies for being late, but we want to recognize those remarks were heartfelt and they were fun to say. Wow, that was impressive. I wish I knew, but this will go on in place of mine in my office that I look at every day. And wish you good luck. I hope all works well. And thank you very much. Bye. So, all right, thanks so much. We can insult Roger all the time, oftentimes over here, but the advice is always good and very much appreciated. So with that, I think we're going to call the meeting adjourned and let the holiday party begin. Thanks all for being here. It's been a wonderful year, and thanks for all of your support. All the people who spoke, the businesses here, they help keep the lights on for DSCA and our efforts. So thank you, associates, for being here and all you do here to work with us and financially support. So let's have some more.